Hello, and welcome to Different Perspectives. I'm Paul Ndiho. President Donald Trump is once again shaking up U.S. immigration policy, this time by signing a new travel ban targeting 12 countries, including Haiti, Afghanistan, Iran, Sudan, and Somalia. The order goes into effect this Monday on June 9th at 12:01 a.m. This move follows the recent Supreme Court decision that gave the administration the green light to revoke a temporary protected status, or TPS, for more than 500,000 immigrants, including over 300,000 Haitians. So, what does this mean for Haitian families, students, and workers who have called the United States home for years? And what are the legal and humanitarian consequences? Joining me now is Johanna LeBlanc, a national security law and foreign policy expert based in Washington, D.C., and a strong voice on issues impacting the Haitian community in the United States. Johanna, welcome to Different Perspectives.
Thank you so much for having me, Paul.
It's a pleasure to have you for the first time on the show.
Thank you. Always an honor. I'm really happy to join you, and congratulations on your show, and I wish you much success.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm trying my level best. Under the circumstances, I think it's about time we moved on and tried to do something else. Let's get into it. The Trump administration just issued a travel ban for 12 countries. Uh, and one of the countries also targeted is Haiti. Now, bring us up to speed. Your reaction.
Well, first and foremost, looking at this issue strictly from a neutral perspective, I can say that a lot of times, as someone who's worked with the U.S. government, in particular at the U.S. Congress, oftentimes these decisions are made because there's a high number of individuals from those countries that sometimes overstay their visas, and as a result, the administration has to take strict measures. But as you know, right now, the Republic of Haiti is facing a multitude of crises, and one of them is the humanitarian crisis. You have an economic crisis. You have a political crisis, and you also have a security crisis. So people are looking to flee the country because the unemployment rate is roughly 60%, if not higher. Gangs control about 60% of the capital. So the situation is on the ground is rather dire. So I suppose the United States does not want some of those individuals to end up on the shores of the U.S. Unfortunately, in a time when many individuals are seeking refuge.
So, what does this mean for the families, the Haitian families that are here, the students, the workers who have called this place their home over the years?
Well, I think the administration indicated that if you were issued a visa before the ban was put in place, then you should be fine. And also, if your travel to the United States is consistent with the national security interests of the country, if your travel is consistent with the national security interests of the United States, you're also fine. So there are some areas that provides folks some relief. But for most people, the average Haitian in the country just will not be issued a visa to come to the United States, at least not at this time. But the unfortunate reality is that historically, the courts have given the administration a great deal of leverage when it comes to issues around immigration, and so I'm certain that this ban will be appealed. And Haiti is not the only country. You also have a number of other countries, as we saw under Trump's first administration. A number of Muslim countries were also issued a travel ban, and they did take it to the Supreme Court. And ultimately the Supreme Court did rule in favor of the administration. So I think
Right.
that keep that in mind as we move forward.
From a foreign policy perspective, how is this whole thing playing out?
Weakens relationships with other nations because as different countries have their citizens here in this country, they do understand the challenges that are back home, some of their security and humanitarian crises that they're dealing with. And historically, the United States has been a place of refuge for people to seek help, to seek support, assuming that they are following the law, which in this case, many of those folks did follow the law, right? They did not break the law. These people did not enter the United States illegally. They entered the United States legally, right? So I think that the way the United States is dealing with the immigration issue, and the way that the United States is dealing with immigrants and different and folks with different statuses here in this country, it's rather unfortunate, and it certainly will have heads of states and some of the partners of the United States to really think twice about the relationship that they have with the United States, because many of those countries, like for example, a country like Nicaragua, for example, they just don't have the infrastructure to accommodate those folks to return back home. They are dealing with dire challenges, and certainly Haiti as well. You send all those folks back home. Where are they going to work? Right, 60% of the country is unemployed. But I think at the end of the day, what this also tells nation states is that it is important to be self-sufficient. It is important for you to take care of home, to make sure that your people have access to resources, because the world is changing, and the posture around immigration is not what it used to be anymore, not just here in the United States, but around the world. So I think it's important that for governments to ensure that they enter into agreements with nations that will bring about economic prosperity and stability in their country, so that their citizens don't have to flee to other nations for refuge.
This happens a few days after the Supreme Court decision gave the administration a green light to revoke the temporary protected status of some migrants, 500,000 migrants, including over 300,000 Haitians. What do you make of that?
First and foremost, those folks did seek entry into the United States the legal way. Those folks enter the United States the proper way. They were vetted properly by the Biden administration. They were granted authorization to be in the country legally, and they were also granted work documentation to work in this country and to contribute to the economy of this nation. And that was a way to curb irregular migration from countries like Cuba, Venezuela, Nicaragua, and the Republic of Haiti. But unfortunately, the administration believe that they don't deserve to be here in the United States. And ultimately, this case was brought to the United States Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court essentially ruled on the side of the administration. So what that means is that all those 500,000 individuals who have a legal status, who had legal status here in this country, currently don't have legal status, and the only relief that they have right now, are two: administrative relief for the administration to say, you know what, I changed my mind. I am going to allow a different pathway for those categories of people to be in this country legally, or Congress has to act. Congress has to pass some kind of legislation to ensure that those folks can remain in the country legally, or otherwise you open the door for all of those folks to be deported, because as of right now, they don't have legal status. We're talking about 500,000 nationals from these various countries.
You are very connected to the community. When you've talked to some of these people, what are their responses, or how are they reacting to these new developments?
Folks are very disappointed because they did follow the law. They did follow all of the proper procedures in order to enter the country legally. But unfortunately, this administration has decided to go into a different direction, and supported by the United States Supreme Court. So it's very devastating, and it's a scary time for so many people. not just the individuals who are directly impacted, but their families, their friends, and their loved ones, and also their employers, because those people, most of them are working and they're contributing to the economy. So their deportation will have an impact not just on them and their families, but ultimately on our local economies around the world. So it is rather very devastating news.
The administration argues that most of these people being sent home are quote unquote bad people or people who have committed crimes in the United States. What's the situation like there? When these people go back, how are they going to be received? Can they even get into that country, as we know?
The humanitarian parole recipients whose statuses have been terminated, those folks have only been in the country for a very short period of time, right? It was a program that was put in place during the end of the Biden administration. One to address to reduce irregular migration into the country, but also to acknowledging that there is a crisis in these countries. There's a humanitarian crisis as well as a security crisis, which makes it unlivable for many of those folks. But the Supreme Court ruling does not specify folks who've committed crimes versus folks who have not committed crimes. So that comment has not necessarily been supported by facts. I think everybody, irrespective of whether you've committed crimes or not, if you have the status, it has been stripped away from you, unfortunately. The reality is that for those folks to go back to Haiti, we're talking about a country where the capital is controlled, where 80% of the capital is controlled by the gangs, and there's a 60% unemployment rate. That's rather devastating, and I think that yes, the Supreme Court has spoken. It is the highest court of the land, but we also have to address this from a humanitarian perspective, and also from a place of compassion, a place of empathy. Because I can assure you, many of those folks would prefer to be in Haiti, right? But the reality is that the country is unlivable. And when you talk about the gang violence in the country that has created this insecurity crisis, many of those guns are coming from the shores of the United States. And the U.S. has not necessarily done a good job at restricting the flow of weapons that end up on the island. So it is, again, it's a very devastating moment, not just for the Haitian community, but also the Cubans, the Venezuelans, and the Nicaraguans who are also impacted by the Supreme Court ruling. These are dire times, and these are the things that Mr. Trump ran on when he ran for the presidency. He did say he was going to be tough on immigration, and he has done just that. I mean, while it's disheartening and disappointing, but one thing you cannot say is that Mr. Trump did not keep his promises.
Earlier, you talked about the security situation in Haiti. Would you care to maybe to explain how things are on the ground as we speak?
The situation in Haiti right now is rather dire. Again, you're talking about more than 1 million people have been displaced. Roughly 80% of the capital is controlled by gangs. There's not a formal government in place. There's not one single elected official in the country currently. So the situation, again, on the dire is very dire. Talking about a humanitarian crisis, an insecurity crisis, a political crisis, and an economic crisis, all at once. So, and you have the Kenyan-led mission on the ground. So the situation on the ground is dire. People are fleeing not just to the United States, but they're going to other countries in the region. Brazil, Dominican Republic, which essentially has closed its doors for Haitians to seek refuge. So again, it's a very complicated situation.
Well, I guess we'll leave it there. Thank you so much, Johanna LeBlanc, for your time.
Thank you so much.
Johanna LeBlanc is a national security law and foreign policy expert based in Washington, D.C. Would like to know what you think about this new travel ban? Please share your comments in the comment section below. And also, don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe to Follow Ndiho on X, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, LinkedIn, Blue Sky, and YouTube.